Okay, so we're up to Daf Gimel. We just finished the Raya from Hilni Amalka, the Kasha from Hilni Amalka, and we're now going to continue. Amar Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak, Gimel Amar Aleph, Rabbi Kogus. You fit Yeshak V'Tarya? Almost. Okay, this can make it easier if anyone wants. I think so. I don't know, tell me if it helped them or not. Amar Rav Shmuel definitely makes the Chazarah easier, whether you get the Shakavatari is 9 points. 9 points each daf, Baruch. It's usually between 7 and 10. Amar Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak. Halach. Okay, we're on Gimel Amid Aleph. Gimel Amid Aleph, approximately 10 lines down. First one line is Afilu Hachi. Amar Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak. Halach. Srichas de Machzekes, Roishai, Verubai, V'Shulchanai, which we know that to mean 7 by 7 Tvachim. Amar le Rav Abba, Kiman, Kibei Shammai. Who's this like? Is this like Bei Shammai? And as we learned already, this is a Mishnah on Daf Chav Ches, and over there it seems like it's a debate between Bei Shammai and Bei Hillel, whether you need, Rav David is here, Roishai, Verubai, V'Shulchanai, meaning or not. Does it have to be 7 Tvachim? Do you need the Shulchanai? So says the Gemara, you telling me we paskin like Bei Shammai? Amar le, he responds like a good Jew. You ask a kasha, you respond with a kasha. Elikiman, who else do you want to go like? So says the Gemara, Ika di Amri. And that's period. That's statement number 1. So we're pasking like Machzekes Roshai V'Shulchanai, like Bei Shammai. Tav is for you. So shtikul Chazarah of Daf Beis. Mirta Sham, we're continuing the Chazarah, or as it doesn't seem everyone had that much time over Rosh Hashanah. I don't know where people would have time. I know that Daf Yomi Chaver, it's always hard just to shtup a dafin over Rosh Hashanah. So either way, let's continue. Ayika D'Amri, a second lashon. Amar Rav Abba D'Amr L'Chamani. Whom is the opinion that holds? It needs to hold Rosh Hashanah. Amar Le Bei Shammai V'Loi Tazuz Minei. So 2 ways of learning, seemingly Bei Shammai, Roshai, Rubai Shulchani. Mask of Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. Asks Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. You just took for granted that Roshai, Rubai, Shulchani is Bei Shammai. Asks Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. Mimai de Bei Shammai B'Sika Kitana Pligi. How do you know that's the Machlekes Bichlal? You dove in and you assume that this Mishnah Daf Chav Ches are arguing about the size of the sukkah. How do you know? Dilma B'Sika Gedela Pligi. Maybe really they're arguing about a large sukkah. In the cases that they're sitting at the edge of the sukkah of Shulchan and the table's inside the house, and in such a scenario, to Bei Shammai Savri, why is it no good when the table is not in the sukkah? We have to be worried, maybe you're going to be drawn after your sukkah, which is in the house. So they're not arguing about the size of the sukkah. We all agree that the sukkah has whatever size it needs. But that machlokes in Daf Chav Ches is a totally different discussion. That's a machlokes, Rav Nachi. That's a machlokes as to, is there a gezerah or not? Ubeis Hillel Savri, lo gazrinan. Says the Gemara, v'dekanami, and this is indeed precise, dekatani, because what is the case over there on Daf Chav Ches? It says over there, Mishahaya tells a story. Mishahaya, Vim Isa, and if you're telling me that it is a machlokes as to the minimum size of the sukkah, then what? Machzekes ve'enoi machzekes mi ba'ilei. The bright Mishnah over there should not have said a story, Mishahaya. Rather, what should it have done? It should have said, does it hold the table or not? So from this story, what does it sound like? It sounds like it's not a machlokes as to the minimum size of the sukkah, but rather it is a machlokes whether there is a gezerah or not. We're continuing Chazarah, Daf Gimel. Continuing Chazarah, the executive decision was made that we should continue Chazarah. So in the middle of a Chazarah, we have over here I thought I printed out 8, apparently I only printed out 5. This is a Chazarah of Daf Beis. It's Chazarah of Daf Beis Shakavatariya to hopefully aid in the clarity and the Shakavatariya B'siyata D'Shmaya, and hopefully we'll do Daf Gimel Nachri. I don't know what happened. I thought I clicked. It's posted on the chat as well. So, but we'll get more hard copies for those who like hard copies. But let's continue. So the Gemara is in the middle of discussing that Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak, and we had a whole way of learning what's the halacha 7 by 7 tvachim. We said, who is that like? Beis Shammai. Asks the Gemara, how do you know Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel are arguing about a small sukkah? Rather, what are they maybe arguing about? Is there a gezerah? It's a large sukkah. Rather, but the table is outside of the sukkah. Do we have to be worried you're going to climb onto the table or not? And says the Gemara, the wording of the Mishnah is precise that way. Why is the wording precise? Because the Mishnah says, Misha Haya, telling a story of someone with their table outside of the sukkah. If the Mishnah was discussing a machlekes, that's the minimum size of a sukkah, then it should have say, does the sukkah machzekes, does it hold the table or not? Says the Gemara, period. So the Gemara wants to say it's not a machlekes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel bichlal. Says Gemara, really? Oh, b'sukkah kitana loy pligi. Very good that you proved to me from the Mishnah and Daf Chav Ches that over there was a story. Is it a gezerah? You might climb on the table. But 1 second, there is indeed a machlekes, is there not? We have a brisa. V'atanya, we learned in a brisa machzekes. Roshav v'shalchanoi sheira. Rebbe Omer Achiv Arba Mazal Amois. Tanikam held 7 by 7 is kosher. Rebbe says 4 by 4 Amois. Tani Dachan another brisa says Rebbe Omer Kol Shein by Arba Mazal Arba Sula. So Rebbe's good. But the Chachamim now say if you learn a machzekes zela Roishay v'rubai ksheira. In the second brisa, what do the Chachamim say? Just Roishay v'rubai, and they leave out Shulchanai. Very good. So we have 2 brisas, kashina dadi. So what are we doing? We have a stira and brisas. Elolav. How are you going to answer up the stira? Shemamin Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. So seemingly there is a machlokes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, even though we just said that the Mishnah Daf Chav Ches might not be a machlokes, but clearly we see from the way the brisas are talking that there is such a machlokes. Amar Mar Zutra. Mas Nisan Nami Deika. Says Mar Zutra, and the Mishnah is precise that what? That they are arguing about the size. You just proved me that the Mishnah is precise, that they're not arguing about the size because this Mishnah said, Misha Haya, telling a story. But wait, what did the Mishnah say? Beis Shammai B'Islan and Beis Hillel Machshirim. V'im Isa, and if the case was that it was a large sukkah, and we're just arguing whether there is a gezerah or not, shouldn't have said pasul. If there's a gezerah that you might climb on the table, is the sukkah pasul? No, the sukkah is kosher. You just weren't yai to the mitzvah. V'im Isa Beis Shammai Ibrim Lo Yatza, Beis Hillel Ibrim Yatza Mi Ba'ilei. Ve'ela. Says the Gemara, okay, so now we have one Mishnah. That part of the Mishnah sounds like a story of Gezerah. Part of the Mishnah sounds like it's actually possible. Lakasha Mishahaya. What do you do with the first part of the Mishnah? So says the Gemara and all the dust settles, La'ilam, Betarti Pligi. The Mishnah on Daf Chav Ches is a Mishnah that argues in 2 details. Number 1, Pligi V'Sukkah Kitana. Number 1, there is indeed a machlekes as to the minimum size of a sukkah. Beis Shammai says 7 by 7, Beis Hillel says even small. And number 2, Upaligi b'sukkah gedayla, and they argue a large sukkah, but the table is not in the sukkah. Is there a gezerah? And this is how you read the Mishnah. That's the story. Now we insert words. Beis Shammai oimrim lo yatsa, not pasul. Lo yatsa, because the sukkah itself is kosher. Just a gezerah you might climb out. Beis Hillel oimrim yatsa. And now case number 2, we insert v'shein oimachzek as al k'dei rosh v'rubai bilvad. And if it's a small sukkah that only could hold rosh v'rubai and not shulchanai, less than 7 by 7, then Beis Shammai paislin uBeis Hillel machshirin. So Gavaldik, we have one Amid, which is one large discussion as to the minimum size of the sukkah / is there gezerah you might climb out of your sukkah? We wanted to begin by proving that the halacha is 7 by 7 Beis Shammai. We said, is there really machlokes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel as to the size? Maybe they argue just about a gzeira. And the Mishnah sounds that way because it tells a story. It says Gemara 1 second, but the Braisais, as we have a stira and Braisais, sound like the machlokes as to the minimum size. And that fits with the end of the Mishnah that says Pasal and not Pasal, which clearly is the sukkah itself, is not the person. Answers the Gemara, two machlokes within the Mishnah. Number one, is there a gezeira? Number two, minimum size of the sukkah. Let's stop over here. Let's utilize the last 2 minutes. Yeah, what's your question?
No, Beis Shammai holds liyatza because you might run out of the sukkah to eat.
Yes,
So
gezeira.
you're sitting there.
Gezeira. Gezeira, you're not allowed to eat in that sukkah. Gezeira. That's what gezeira means. What gezeira means? Gezeira means it's kosher. When we make Gezerah D'Rabbanan, we don't allow it to be kosher because we're afraid you might climb out of your sukkah. They invalidated that sukkah because you might come to eat outside of the sukkah.
Why are we assuming it's machlokes Beis Shammai and Yisrael? Maybe it's two other.
Good question. And the pashtus, everyone heard his question? Right, Cooper asks, we have two brises. One brisa says 4x4, and one brisa says incorrect. Rabbi always says 4x4. Then we have a sheet of the Chachamim that's either Reish Rubai Shulchanai, 7x7, or Reish Rubai less than 7x7. Ask Rabbi Cooper, why is that necessarily Beis Shammai Beis Hillel? Maybe it's someone else. So you are correct. This is the classical Gemara that the Gemara assumes if we have a potential machlokes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel within this detail, we assume that this is the machlokes in the Brisa. And once we see that you could shtup it into the Mishnah on Daf Chav Ches, now it's true, you have to say Chazuri Mechzer Bachi Kitani, but in the world of Gemara, that's not so shver. You just have to insert in a few words, and now the Mishnah makes sense, which is the end of the Mishnah that says Yatza la Yatza, so that's why the Gemara assumes that. But it is true that it's not necessarily ironclad. Yes, what's your question? You don't remember. Givaldik. We have 1 minute. What I wanted to do is I just wanted to take a minute. Let's go over Shakavataria aloud. Daf Beis. I'm gonna, and I think we'll all together. I have it in my computer. Don't worry. Basically, what I try to do over here is I break the parts of the Gemara into what the Gemara is doing. That's in the first column, and then what the Gemara does. So, for example, Ray Cooper, it's on the chat if you want to follow along. We said the qualifications of the sukkah, which are 3 of them: height, walls, schach. Number 2, we have the difference between Erevin and sukkah, the wordage. Question: what is the difference? Answer: 2 differences: D'Rabbanan and D'Oraisa versus more rules, less rules. Number 3, what's the maximum height? The source of the maximum height. In the source, you see, we have 9. Baruch Hashem. In the source, you see, we have the 3 shitas. Rabba number 1, Rav Zir number 2, Rava number 3. Leman Yedu, Tseil, Sirvas Yamim, and interspersed, you see the kashas of Abaya. That was the entire Amud Aleph. We flip over to Amud Beis. No, not on your paper, excuse me. In the Gemara, you see on the side it says Amud Beis. Now it goes into the reasons why they disagree. Rabba says, because it's Yedil and Dairis. We have 10. We'll finish in 60 seconds, excuse me. And Rav Zira says, it's talking about Yimosh and Mashiach. And Rav ends off at Kasha and Abaya. And then we turn over to Amud Beis fully. And over there we have Rav Yeshaya, Rav Chanan bar Rabba, and Rav Huna. 3 different ways of potentially learning the Mishnah. Why Rav Huna and Rav Chanan bar Rabba disagree. And finally the Kasha on Rav Huna and Rav Chanan bar Rabba with the story of Hilni Ha Malka Givaldi.